Hello, welcome. So, sorry it's been a while since I've done a sit-down video. I've been, like a lot of people, looking after my son because he's off on school holidays. So I wanted to catch up today and at the weekend on my videos. Thank you for the feedback that I've received so far for my site called Parenting Adventures Tips and Tricks .wordpress.com, because I've gained more followers and more views on that site. So thank you very much for those that have liked the content that I've been sharing. And today it will be a truth about parenting video. So it's all about, they always talk about the terrible twos, but Henry is going through the terrible 5, 6 and 7s, where getting lots of strops, stamping on the feet, chucking things, swearing, which you do need to nip it in the bud as soon as that begins. And you have to, be careful your own language. And sometimes I forget, but you do have to be vigilant. And everybody talks about the terrible twos, but they don't mention anything about the later stage as they get into the junior age. And Henry is becoming very sort of stamping on the feet, and I think the way he's picked it up, it's got to be from school, because Henry is under Zenko, which basically he gets one-to-one support. If they have naughty children who have been disruptive and find it hard to follow lessons, they put them in a class called Meerkat. But the problem is that, like kids do, they copy. So if they see that one kid is getting attention by shouting and screaming and chucking themselves on the floor and throwing bricks, and then they will think, oh right, so he's getting attention now. Oh, perhaps I should do it, because that child has now grabbed that teacher's attention. So perhaps I should do the same. And that's how you need to see it from a kid's eyes when it comes to helping them in the way they connect with people, because it is very important. Social skills is one of the biggest skills that you need to learn. And I know I write a blog called everyonecanbuildacastle.com, and a blog called Building Self-Confidence, the Ugly Duckling, because kids will follow suit, and so when it comes to that development and that, you do need to work on the way they communicate with people and how they connect. So if they start to become very aggressive, then you need to say no. I don't like to use the word no, but say stop. And what I did at the weekend yesterday, when Henry did something that was not very nice, I told him off, and then I took him to another bench away from the other kids, and I sat him down and I spoke to him and addressed what he just did, and it was fine. But you do need to be. I do believe in easy, flexible parenting, which is working for me, because I do see it from his eyes, but also from my own eyes. And Henry is one of those kids that if he wants something and he can't have it, he will do whatever he can to get you to change your mind. So, for example, today we went to Wimbledon Park, and he was playing in the water, but then as soon as he sees a swing free, he wants to go on the swing. Getting him on the swing is fantastic. He loves it. He needs to start to learn how to use the swing himself. But when it comes to getting him off the swing, it's an all different ball game. So, how do you deal with that? Well, for me, it's give them not a time limit, but do pre-warn them. So right, okay, and give them the option. So and they had like a water fountain there, where for kids. And so I said, well, okay, do you want to go in the water and come back? No, that didn't work. So then I said, well, because there's a pond there where they have ducks and swans, and I said, so, should we go and feed the ducks? And it did, it got them off the swing. When it comes to getting children to change from one thing to another, pre-warn them if you can, and I do that. So shall we, like last week, or do it yourself, I would push him a few times, and I get him to learn how to do it himself, which he's getting. But also, he's got to understand that swing isn't his. That's not just for him, it's for other children. And so, but we fed the ducks, it was lovely. He didn't get too close to the pond, because it's quite steep. And I bet kids have been tempted, because they see like the river, and we go to the seaside, and then they can swim in that river. But then when they get to the pub we went to, and the water, it's like, will they make a different association with the water, or will they think, well, I'm allowed to play in the water there, so why can't I here? So I said to him as we fed ducks, just stay there, don't get too close, but stay there. And we were throwing bird feed to the ducks and the swans, or duck food, and he was fine. He was fine with that. I mean, he sat down. He wanted a snack, but because obviously we were been touching duck feed, I said, well, let's go wash our hands and then we'll come back. But we didn't in the end. He wanted, some ice cream, so I took him for ice cream. And again, he was fine. He didn't eat much of the ice cream, but it was fine. But then it was, he got his foot stuck in the swing and couldn't get out. And luckily this lady helped me, thankfully, thanks to her. But because he got his foot stuck, by that time I had enough, and so did he. And he was fine with that. And we went on the train, and again was fine. But then, I think he finds it hard when he can't have something, So, you do have to be like, well, these are two options. You can either, for example, I said to him, you can either stand swings, or we could do duck feed, or, if someone's on the swing, go use the water, play in the water. Because he was kicking and screaming yesterday, and as soon as he saw the water, he was like off, and he was like all forgiven, So with kids, they will always have tantrums and meltdowns, and you need to just tell yourself that they're not going to last forever. They are learning the ropes of socialising, learning how to use a swing, learning how to share, learning how to not cross boundaries. So fear not. I mean, the kids will always be stroppy, and they always talk about the toddler years, but I found that Henry's become more stroppy as he's got older, because he finds it hard when he can't have something, because he will kind of get upset like he's done something wrong, and I'm like, you haven't done nothing wrong, it's just that you can't, like for example his tablet, I've explained to him it's on charge, and once it's charged you can have it. You can't have it while it's charged because it won't work, and it's being basic. You don't have to shout and holler. I try my hardest not to get too cross, but I try not to get cross over, you've got to give kids leeway when it comes to letting them have things, but it needs to be rewarded with good behaviour. And if they see a child getting a load of attention, that's kicking and screaming, then they will start to associate with, oh, well, perhaps that's the way I get what I want. I kick and scream, I shout, I bite, I chuck things, and then there's like, no, that is, no, none of that. If you're going to misbehave, then we can't go nowhere. And so, I say to Henry, do you want me to put your game away so you can't play with it? Do you want me to, shall we go home now from the park? And then he was going, no. And I said, well, you're going to behave? Yeah, yes. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. But when you threat, you do need to follow it through. So if they, really kick off, take them out of the situation, take them home, sit with them and just talk through why that happened and why they are now at home. Because the quicker they learn about behaviour and what is respectful, what is acceptable, then they will follow suit. And it's not having a high expectation in any way. It's just when they become independent, they need to learn how to socialise and how to be around other people. And there are people that don't like other people, and that is sad, but there are people that are like that. And what can you do about that? Nothing. But what you can do is teach kids that, no, that is wrong, this is right. If you're nice to somebody, respectful, you're kind, then you will get back what you put out. And that is the key to dealing with strops and tantrums. And nobody tells you in baby books about, or children's books, about the other, the child's drops, and it's not just toddler years, it's as they're learning. And Henry, will do whatever it takes, but he needs to learn that he can't get everything he wants, and shouting and screaming isn't the way. And Henry does have ADHD, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse for him to be rude or nasty to anybody. In fact, it means that you have to be more vigilant and more of an example of not doing that. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I often think I'm doing things wrong. I do, I doubt myself a lot. But learning what I've learned in the last 8 years is that sometimes you just have to stay calm, learn to switch off, because that's been my biggest, and what people just get annoyed with me switching off. There's a reason why I switch off, because I will do it because it controls my anger, because I can get very cross, and I don't like getting angry, because when I get angry, I just get to the point where I could I could smash something, So that's why, but not with Henry at all. But I don't like getting cross. I don't like getting angry, and I try to explain that to Henry that I don't want to be cross with him. I don't want to be angry with Henry. But if he's going to lash out and be disruptive, then it needs to be addressed. It has to be dealt with. So you have to be strong within yourself, and and remember that tantrums and strops don't last forever, and so just and take 5, which is a thing that I've introduced, and I've put it in my parenting book that I'm writing, because sometimes just walking away and just counting to 5, can calm you down, and then get back to steady head rather than cross and angry. And you do need to just step back a bit, and then then address it, and then nip it in the bud, which basically means stop it as soon as you see it. As soon as you see it, like swearing, hitting, nip it in the bud, and teach them that is not acceptable, because that's not how you treat people, if you want to be respected, you have to respect others as you wish to be respected yourself. And that is our words that I always stick by, is that treat those how you wish to be treated. And that, you know, talk to kids is how you teach them right and wrong. And I know that this is just a phase at the minute, I know, and I'm not using that as an excuse. Kids go through phases. At the moment, Henry is learning that, you know, that shouting and screaming isn't going to get him anywhere, you know. But you know, I hope that, you know, that because he's going to a new school this year, that he will be given a better guardianship in terms of the teachers, that they, you know, they get Henry, because I don't want to be slating anybody, but I do fear that, you know, what it was is that he was put into his meerkat class, where all like the difficult, I hate the word difficult, but where the children who are just like Henry, just need one-to-one support, go, but they copy each other, and so you do have to, you know, that's the word, I can't say the word. But basically, they just need to understand that that is not good, but this is right. And how I would do it is when that child, it would say, you know, a child's kicking off, screaming, and then you put them in timeout, and they come back and they say sorry, and then they, you know, start to share the toy that they were screaming about. That's where you say to that child, well done. I know you kicked off just now, you had timeout, but well done. You've done really well there. You've given back the toy. You've said sorry. Well done. And that's how you get kids to see what's right, what's the good behaviour, what's the bad behaviour. And that's, you know, how you deal with stress, strops and tantrums is, when Henry does it now, I will either read a book, I will colour in, or I will, you know, write my notepad, if I, you know, and when he sees that I'm not paying attention to him, then he will stop and think, well, hang on a minute, what comes? I'm not getting attention here. I'm shouting and screaming. I'm jumping all over mummy. Why is she not responding? And that is a way to also, just if it gets too much, put the child in timeout. You leave the room, as long as obviously depending on age, and just take 5 minutes. Just count to 5, or just take 5 minutes if you can. Then go back in the room, go back and speak to them, go over what they've done, what is wrong, go over what is nice, and then, you know, if they then say sorry, meaning that they say sorry in a meaningful way, because then it just becomes a word, then you'll say, right, are we going to be okay now? And then just, if they then you know, behave, then it's time to acknowledge and say to them, well done, you're behaving fine now. That's what I want to see. And if they are rewarded with good behaviour and not reacting to when they're kicking and screaming, you know, is another technique that can help you with tantrums and strops, because they have them. They change their mind a lot. You know, but you just, you know, you will get through it, and just, you know, stay strong and stay safe because of COVID, but, you know, try and make it so, you know, when they have reward charts. I was doing that for Henry where last year, and they had them in Poundland, so I bought them, and it was actually making a difference. You know, and I would do that again, but obviously because I don't see Henry all the time, you know, I would go around doing that. But I will definitely, you know, think about doing a reward chart again, because it did have an effect, you know. And Henry, you know, but after, you know, he you know, behaved and he didn't go near the water, you know, he knew to stand back. I was like, well done, Henry, you did really well then. You know, we fed the ducks, that was really good. And then he thought that, I'll just give him praise. Great, you know. And, you know, you just have to have more belief in yourself and make them see that that's not how you gain respect. That's not how you gain mummy's affection, by being rude and angry and screaming, you know. So, anyway, I hope this video helps you, and I will see you again soon, and take care.